Hey guys, it's Jeremiah. Let's cook something good. Hey, what's going on guys? It is Thursday, which means it's Thanksgiving Thursday, part 3. We're making pies because apparently if you're gonna make Thanksgiving dinner a month before Thanksgiving, you have to order a turkey. So we're waiting on our turkey to get here. So we're gonna go to pies. Disclaimer, I have not made a pie in probably 10 years. So this is gonna be very interesting. I hope it goes really well. It's pumpkin pie, so it should come out decent, I hope. We're gonna try and we're gonna see what happens. So let's get started. The good thing about this recipe is that you could use it for savory pies or sweet pies. We're gonna use our all-purpose organic flour, some sugar, some unsalted butter. Always make sure it's unsalted. We're gonna use some salt, and we need some ice water as well. Reason why we use unsalted butter is that way we can control how much salt's gonna go into our actual pie dough. Salted butter sometimes can make it a little too salty, so this way we get to control it. We're gonna be using our food processor today, but if you're using your stand mixer or even a hand mixer, great tip is always measure your flour out into a different vessel. I've already measured out my 2 cups. I'm taking a half cup. I'm taking my straight spatula and just leveling out the top. I'm putting it all onto a sheet of parchment paper. So with this parchment paper, what I could do is I could fold it up, take this over to my mixer and pour it all in so that I don't make that big of a mess. We're also gonna use butter for our pie crust. I have 2 sticks of butter here. I wanna keep this really cold. I don't want it to melt or get room temperature, so I'm keeping it in the fridge until I'm ready to go. And then we're just gonna dice it up. I'm gonna cut it into cubes. Just gonna run my knife down the center, then I'm gonna flip it, and I'm gonna run it down the center again. And I'm trying to not handle this that much because the heat from my hands is actually gonna heat it up and have it melt, so I don't want that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick it in the fridge in a bowl. So I diced up both cubes of butter, and I'm gonna stick it back in my fridge because I want it to firm back up. I have all of my dry ingredients weighed out onto my parchment. I got my 2.5 cups of flour, my teaspoon of sugar, and my teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna put that into my food processor. Just gonna dump it all in. As you can tell, it goes really smoothly when you have the parchment, and we're just gonna give this a turn so it incorporates everything. We need to keep our butter cool, so what we're gonna do is add 6 to 8 teaspoons, not tablespoons, teaspoons of ice water. I don't wanna get any of the ice, but I want the water to be pretty cold, so I'm just gonna sprinkle these in. I'm gonna start with 6. Butter time. Our butter's cold, our bowl's cold. I'm gonna add a few cubes at a time, just breaking them up so they're in 2s. We don't wanna add too much. We want this to be able to mix together well. Put it in our food processor. We'll take a look, and as you can see, the butter is mixed in well enough to where it's starting to clump together with the flour. We'll keep doing this until we use all of our butter. I want to check to make sure my butter's mixing in, and I don't want any huge chunks. If there are big chunks, I need to mix it a little more. Like I could tell I have a few pretty big chunks in there, so I'm gonna mix it a little bit more. We're gonna check our dough again. I've now mixed in all of my butter, and what I'm looking for is I want, once I grab it and I smush it together, that it's gonna hold firm. If it's a little too dry still and not clumping together, that's why the ice water is between 6 and 8 teaspoons. You can never take it out, but you could always add a little more. I'm gonna take my mixture, and now I'm just gonna dump it out on a clean work surface. This is actually gonna make 2 doughs, and I'm just gonna start to squish it together. I don't wanna knead it too much. I just want everything to be mixed. The kneading is gonna cause it to form gluten, which is not what we want. We want this to just be a dense pie crust. We can still see some flecks of butter in our dough, which is what we're looking for. We want that butter to not be completely melted. We want it to still be a little bit chunky. So we're gonna take this, chill it down, be back in 2 hours. Our little dough package is ready to go into the fridge. The great thing about this is we could prep this up to 2 days in advance. Bring it out about 10 minutes before you're gonna use it, so it's easier to roll out into your pie shape. I don't usually use a lot of ingredients, but this is pumpkin pie, so it calls for a lot of stuff. I measured it all out. I put it on my parchment so I could just dump it all in. We have ginger, cinnamon, clove, nutmeg, cornstarch. I measured out my salt, and I measured out my pepper as well. Put my brown sugar, my pumpkin puree, and I've whisked my eggs together. And all I'm gonna do is pour my eggs into my mixture here, and I'm gonna start to whisk it all together. We just want this to be mixed thoroughly, and then we'll add our dry ingredients to it. Our mixture is looking really good. It looks like pumpkin pie, but we need to spice this now. I'm gonna take my parchment paper, and we're just gonna pour all of our dry ingredients in, and then we're gonna mix these together. We're now gonna take our cream and our milk, and we're just gonna slowly whisk and pour this in. We don't want to just pour it all in because we want to make sure that it fully mixes, and we want to keep it kind of thick, so we're going to whisk as we go. Now once it's all mixed in, it's going to look a little soupy. We're just going to set that aside. I'm going to roll out my pie dough, and we're going to get 2 pies out of this. I divided my dough into 2 pieces. I'm going to need a rolling pin. I'm going to need my pie tin or my Pyrex, whatever you're going to cook your pie in, because we're going to need to make our dough that size. So we're just gonna start to roll this out. I'm gonna lightly dust the area that I'm working in. I'm gonna dust my rolling pin as well. I'm just gonna start to roll it out gently. We don't wanna put too much force on this because we don't want the butter to start to melt in that dough. I've rolled out my pie dough now, and what I'm looking for is I want it to be the size of this Pyrex that I have. So I'm just gonna lay it on top, and then I'm just gonna run my knife around it. This is gonna make it the exact shape that we need, and then we're gonna get rid of all the rest of this. Okay, so the moment of truth. We have to take this and get it into our pie dish. So I'm gonna take my straight spatula and just run it underneath, and hopefully I don't rip it. And then what I'm gonna do is just roll it on to my hands, and then I'm just gonna softly lay it down and just kind of pat it into the corners. My pie crust is in my pan, and as you can see, I had some parts that kind of broke and I had a hole there. I took my extra little scraps of dough and just kind of filled it all in. I kind of did a little bit of dough surgery here. And the parts that were really thin, I put a little bit more dough as well. So that's looking good. We're gonna now take some of our filling. We're gonna fill it about halfway. So I'm gonna stop there. And I'm just gonna shake it and give it like a little wobble just to get it to set, and then I'll fill it up some more. Our pie is full. I filled it to the top. We're gonna stick this in an oven, 375 for an hour. I'm really interested to see how this comes out. I'm hoping it's good. You know, we'll find out. We'll see you in an hour. I'm gonna take what I have left of my heavy whipping cream. I have about a half cup, and I'm gonna add some sugar to it, about a teaspoonful, and we're gonna make some fresh whipped cream. Fresh whipped cream. We're just gonna take a whisk, and we just wanna incorporate air into this. We're just gonna stay here, and we're gonna whisk this. Our whipped cream is finished. What we're looking for is we want to be able to hold our whisk up and it have a peak on it, so it's called a stiff peak. We're gonna put this into a ramekin now. Back in culinary school, we used to always complain because we would say, you know, hey, we have mixers for a reason. Can we use the mixer? And our instructors would always tell us, no, we have to whip it by hand. That being said, you can use a hand mixer or a stand mixer if you have one and make this really fast. And the only thing is be careful because it's gonna go from stiff peaks to like being cottage cheese-like very fast. Our pie is out of the oven. It looks actually pretty good. The way we want to check our pie is we want to take a knife and we just want to stick it into the center. And if it comes out clean with nothing on it, that means our pie is done. You can also just kind of lightly touch it to make sure that it's not liquid still. It looks good. It's set up well. We're gonna let this cool. We can't cut it right away. So we're gonna let this cool for about 30 minutes and we're gonna dig into it and we're gonna see how we did here. I already sliced my piece and I mean, it looks like pumpkin pie. So we're gonna put that in our bowl, and I'm gonna take some of our whipped cream that I made. I'm just gonna dollop some on top, and I'm actually gonna use this to eat with as well. We'll give it a try, and we're gonna see how it tastes. Still a little warm, but it's delicious. That pie crust is super flaky because of all the butter. I even got some on my face there, that's how good it was. The pie is not too sweet. It kind of actually has a really good pumpkin flavor to it. And the brown sugar gives it kind of a depth to it as well. The hand whipped cream, I mean, takes it to the next level, guys. This is delicious. If I can make it, you guys can make it. Bring this to your Thanksgiving. Wow everybody, be like, I made this from scratch. And yeah, enjoy your holiday, guys. If you guys like this video, click, like, subscribe. We are going to do turkey. Hit the bell on the side so you get the notification when the video is up next week, and we'll see you guys soon.